Okay, you guys can see that, right?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, great. So one of the things we want to talk about today is calendar, right? So we want to make sure that we all keep track of the milestones for this project. So I want us to go and look at the protocol again for this study. For the protocol, I'm going to go in on the green level, on the project level, and I'm going to find it under documents. And over here's the protocol. We uploaded it last week during our session. So right now I'm just downloading the same thing again. Sorry, my computer is very slow. Okay, right. So what we want to do is we want to look for milestones in the project and in the protocol, and then actually put them on the calendar. I thought there was a graph here somewhere, but I'm missing it now. Oh, I think the graph is
I
in
think
the
it's
SOP.
in the SOP, yes.
Okay, so in the SOP, not in the protocol itself. There we go. Okay. Just want to find it quickly. Yeah, so this graph, Pada, it's not too specific with dates. But maybe what we can do instead is to actually put the weekly meetings that we're going to have, like this session, onto the calendar just to show you how it works. So in EDGE,
Annemie?
Go ahead.
Yes, there are questions on the chat, so I don't know if you want to address them as you go or
Yes,
talk
please
about them
read.
after.
Please read them because I can't see them at the moment.
Okay, there is one here that is saying, is there any kind of authorization that is needed for someone to upload documents? In my account, I don't seem to have the option of uploading or creating new folders. This is for Mike.
Okay, so let me show you on the staff page, right? Everybody who has got the manage user right will be able to create folders and upload documents, and everyone else will be able to download the documents only. So if you feel like you should be able to create and you can't, then it means that this thing is not ticked for you. Okay, so just look at the people who are ticked. For example, Ruben, you have the manage option ticked. Then you will also be able to tick manage for other people at your site. Okay.
Okay.
So if you have the manage tick, then you need to take responsibility to actually give other people correct user rights at your site. So who was it that asked? Sorry, I missed now who was asking.
Mike.
Mike was asking. So Mike should have, right?
Yeah, but I don't have at the moment. Just check
You don't
that.
have, let's just double check on the next page. Here we go. Yeah, so here we go. This is why. You see the cross here? And I'm one of the people who can update it, so I will fix it for you. And now you should just refresh your page and you should be able to get in.
Fine.
Okay.
Anime, could you also do the same for Patient's Corner and myself? I don't think either of us is currently able to.
There's patients. What should the role be for patients? You see, that's why I need that document.
So for Patience, she's the PI. I don't know if
I should just put PI. Okay. And for who else? Sorry.
And for myself, Takuzomtis, MTISI.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. So just refresh your page. Then you should be able to get in.
Okay.
Were there more questions or not?
No, not at the moment,
Okay.
but I'll let you know if anything comes up.
Okay. So right now I'm in the project, but if I want to look at the calendar, the best place to start is from the home page, actually. So I'm going to click home and then I'm going to click calendar. So this is like a standard kind of calendar. You can have it in different views. But what's cool about this calendar is that it has got these different layers that you can see on the same calendar if you want. So personal, obviously that's things that you've put on just for yourself, and then organization. This is what we're going to be using for collaborating on this project. So there's one that I put on last week. It said fellows training. So let's put another one for today, and let's put one for next week, for example, just to see how it works. So it's like a pretty standard calendar. So you're going to do add event. I'm going to do fellows training. I must say on which calendar this must appear. So important to say that must go on organization so that others in the group can see it. I'm going to say it's a training opportunity. And it's from 2 to, let's say, 3. Okay. Okay, now it's sitting there. And so if we have a deadline, for example, like there's an NIH progress report that's due, or I don't know, whatever the case may be, then we can also put that on the calendar so that everybody's aware. The other thing that you may want to put on this calendar is when your ethics approval is going to expire at your institution, so that other people in the team are aware of when it's going to run out and that people can prepare in advance to submit for renewal. Most ethics committees work like that, where they give you approval only for a certain period and then you have to renew your approval. Does anyone have an ethics approval with an expiry date yet? Then we can put that on as an example.
Yes, we have. I think we can upload ours. Let's try with ours. We have.
Okay. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
And see if you get it. Do you know the date?
Yes. Let me just open the document. Maybe you can go ahead. I will call your attention when we open the document here.
Okay, no problem. I just want to show that, you know, once we put things onto this calendar, then everybody in the team will be able to see the same thing. Okay. So there are different levels here.
Sorry, Annemie, I see Upendo just joined, and I think that was one of her questions for their training about the IRB approvals and whatnot.
Oh, okay. Hi, Upendo. We were just showing everybody how the calendar works in EDGE. So you're going to access it from the home page, and then on the left-hand side, there's a calendar tab. And then you just add events here. So the one thing is that everybody can see the events on the same calendar. But this calendar is not like an Outlook calendar. It unfortunately does not generate emailed reminders. But it does allow everybody to look at the same calendar, and that way you can look ahead to see when things are going to expire, that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that we renew our ethics in time. Maybe start the process like 2 to 4 weeks before it expires, that sort of thing. So Nigeria was just looking up what their IRB expiry date is so that we can put it on the calendar for them.
Thank you, Anne. So, okay, but with the Google Calendar, does it allow you like to set a reminder? I don't know how long does it allow, like 1 day before or 2 days before?
No, it doesn't have reminders, unfortunately, but at least everybody can see it in one place. So you have to look ahead and see when things are going to expire.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I see. Maybe more people have joined now. Arthemon, just remind us what's happening at your site.
Athman is going to be joining as the data manager for SADC. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he's not on EDGE yet, I think. I don't know. We'll double check.
Athman, do you have an account on EDGE?
Now I see this user again, Techno Come On 17, but I don't know who that is.
Okay, Annemie, we have the dates now.
You do? Okay, great.
Yes.
Do you want to share your screen or must I do it for you?
Oh, it's actually on a different system, so that's why.
Okay.
But the date of approval is 13th of February 2023, and will be expiring on the 12th of February 2024. It's just annually. It's supposed to be renewed annually. Yeah.
So let's go to Feb next year, and then we'll put an appointment here. You say Nigeria IRB approval expires. We put it on the organization calendar once again, so to make sure that everybody can see it. The type. So there's just a few examples here of the type of things you can put on the calendar. I don't think there's a very apt one for this, so I'll just put other. And it's an all-day event. There's not a specific time associated with it. And then I'll say save. Okay, so it's going to sit there so that when you look ahead for the month, you can actually see what's going to happen and that you can start working on it. Like I say, the system is not going to generate reminders, unfortunately. So it's going to be up to the fellows to check what is going on and make sure that people know to start preparing for the renewal in time. Okay, there's a very convenient today button. So if I want to jump back to today in the calendar, I can just go there. Happy. Do people have other questions about the calendar specifically? I don't see
Just a
any.
quick one. So what you
Yeah.
mean by everybody in the organization? Does that mean everyone within the Sparkle network or just within the site?
So in this sense, organization means Sickle in Africa. So people who are in EDGE and belong to Sickle in Africa will be able to see it. So it's just your calendar items.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So the next thing I want to talk about is the work.
Annemie, before you
Yeah.
continue, I have a question. So what about the calendar? Is there a calendar for like a specific site? Let's say maybe we have our own internal deadline that we can put, or is it just for the organization and the personal one?
Okay, so there's another thing called team calendars that we can do. And that's like for smaller groups. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit more once we learned how to set up teams. Then we can learn how to set up team calendars. But it will work on a similar premise. So it will just be another layer that comes on top of this calendar.
Okay.
Annemie, is it the one which is already there? I see from my portal there is already one which is called Sparkle Uganda. It's already defined under the team calendar.
And do you want to maybe share your screen to let other people understand what it looks like? If I stop sharing, then you can try to share.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So you belong to a team called Sparkle Uganda. And so your team has a calendar. So you could also put things on a team calendar.
Right.
Then only other people in that team will be able to see it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not exactly the same as sites, but you can use it to approximate the same thing as sites. Okay. Were there more questions about calendars? No? Okay, let's talk about workflows. Go ahead. Hello, was there another question? Okay, maybe not. Okay, so now workflows. A lot of people have asked, how could we make a new workflow? Because obviously the one example that I showed is not necessarily, tailored to what exactly you need. Have any of you guys maybe come up with an idea for a workflow that we need to make? Then we can create it as part of this exercise. What kind of workflows do you guys think we need? What do we need to track?
We can track data entry. We have to track data entry or upload.
Okay, what about it? Because we don't want to make a workflow for every single record. This is more about process things.
Okay. So
maybe let's think about the qualitative aspect of this protocol, for example. So there's an aspect where there's got to be interviews. So first someone has to go out and, I don't know, book all the interviews. And then someone has to conduct all the interviews and record them. And then they have to be transcribed. And then they have to be analyzed. So those would be all the steps that you could add to a workflow, for example. But I wouldn't do it per record. I would do it like for the whole phase of the project, basically. So what other ideas do people have? What else can we track about the project?
How about IRB applications?
So for new IRB applications.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
stage we are in right now.
So what would be the steps for you?
For us, customize the documents, the protocol, the SOPs, the consent forms, and then seeking site approvals, and then the different levels of IRB approvals.
What do you mean by that? Different level?
So for us, we start with an institutional IRB.
Yeah.
Which after it gives us approval, we go to the national IRB, and they would ordinarily give us a conditional approval, which is contingent upon the Research Council of Zimbabwe, which is, it's not an IRB per se, it's more of, I don't know, it's an administrative arm within the government, which oversees all research. So whether medical or whatever stage, so we go through 3 levels of reviews before we actually get an approval.
Okay.
Or
And are the other
now,
countries like that as well or not? I'm trying to figure out if we should make a workflow called IRB Zimbabwe or whether we should just call it IRB, because it sounds like it's quite specific to your thing.
I know for Zambia, they also have 2 levels of IRB. It's not just 1.
But you guys have 3, né?
We have 3, they have 2.
Okay. Okay, you know what? There's no harm in making one for Zim, because we're going to use it on the other projects as well, right? So right now we're dealing with the newborn screening, but we're also going to deal with the other 3 protocols, and we can reuse the workflows there. So you know what? Let's go ahead and make one. Can you log in to Kutzwa? Or shall I log in and you talk me through it?
I can't, I'm logged in, but the challenge is something is wrong with the Zoom on my computer. So I'm listening to my phone and trying to juggle between the 2, but I am logged in.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me show you guys where, and you can just tell us the steps and then we'll add the steps as we go. Okay. So to make a brand new workflow, you have to set up a new workflow. So that we're not going to find that inside the project. We're going to find that under management. Okay. So you have a management tab over here. And then there's different things that you're going to manage within the Edge instance. So we did look at users already. Remember we said that the guys who are admins are going to have to look after other users. And then the guys that are admins also have to look after the workflows. So let's go to management and then workflows. And there are 2 types of workflows. The workflow that we've been talking about is called the governance workflow. So it's a kind of workflow that's about the project as a whole and processes at the project and at the project site level. There's also a different thing called participant workflows, but that's for a later lesson. So for now, let's go into governance workflows. So let's create a new workflow. Is there a question?
Oh, I just wanted to indicate that I've refreshed, but I still don't have the management tab here. So I can't do the same thing as you're doing now.
Okay,
I'm not
all
sure.
right, I'll check that afterwards for you. All right, okay. So remember right now I'm on the management of the Edge instance. So that's a different thing from having management rights on the project. So let's start a new workflow. We call it IRB approval Zimbabwe. Okay. And now what's important to note, it asks you what is the level? At what level should this workflow be done? Is it done once on a project level, or is it done per project site? Okay, so in this case, we're not going to repeat it for every project site. So I'm going to leave it on a project level. There's this feature of adding departments, but it's not really applicable in our setting. So I'm going to skip that. And I'm already going to say published. Published in this sense means that other people in SickleInAfrica will be able to view and use this workflow once we're done setting it up. Save. Okay, so now I have a workflow called IRB approval ZIM, but it doesn't have any tasks yet. You see, no workflow tasks have been defined. So now I have to add the tasks. So I think the first thing you said was to finalize or to adapt the documents. Okay, so now it breaks the workflow task up into the task, name of the task, a question, and then a procedure for how to do everything. So here you will say something like, have the study documents been adapted for local use? And then in the procedure, you will say things like, now you want to list the documents that need to be adapted here. So informed consent forms, patient, participant questionnaires, what else? I forget now. So what else did you say?
The protocol itself is in.
You can't change the protocol.
So it's not the content, but we don't submit it like in where it was. We have to indicate the PIs, the local investigators here and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The cover. So the cover of the protocol.
Yeah.
Basically. What else do you need to adapt? Oh, you said the SOP for the study, etc. have been reviewed. Okay. Then you say save. Okay, so that's the first thing you're going to tick off in the process. Then what's going to be the next tick is you have to submit it somewhere, right? So submit it to whom? Where's the first place that you submit?
So maybe let's just call it site approval for the different sites. So we submit to the various sites.
Submit to site.
For site approval.
Submitted for site approval. Okay. Have the adapted documents for site approval. And then what does it mean? It means you've emailed all the adapted documents to the relevant body that needs to provide site approval. It's all by email, right?
Well, for us, we do both, especially at the site level. We still need to do hard copies. too.
And handed in
Hard
hard copies. Okay, so you're only done with that task once you've done both of those things. Okay. Then what happens next? So next, do you guys typically get queries from them?
Usually not from the site level, but
Okay.
yeah, maybe for the purposes of this, address any queries if there are any that are raised. But usually the sites are not nitpicky. It's just agreeing in principle that we can conduct a study at their
Okay.
site.
So let's leave that for the next level where we might get questions, right?
Okay.
So submitted for site approval, and then the next step would be site approval obtained, right? And what do you actually get from them? Do you get a letter? Do you get an email back? What do you usually get back?
So it depends on what site, but it's one of either a letter. Sometimes we get a letter if it's, say, from the ministry, or sometimes they will stamp on the hard copy application form the stamp of the clinical director and an endorsement approved, submit to JREC, which is the next level. So it's either a letter or stamped
Endorsement of application received back. Does it make sense? Approval letter or stamped endorsement of application received back. Okay, so to me, it sounds actually like maybe this is something that we should do on a project site level for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tick this off for every site? Or just once for Zimbabwe?
It would be great to do it at site level. If it's not too cumbersome. I mean, because what
we can still change it now because we haven't applied it yet.
I'm thinking though that in our case, we're going to do 2 sites, but whichever one comes first allows us to proceed with the rest of the application. And then when the other one comes in, we have to put it in as an amendment to an application that would have probably moved. So it's not a showstopper that we haven't got both back for us to move to the next level.
Yeah, but at least it will have a separate submission date for the second one. It will have a separate approval date for the second one, right?
Yeah.
So
correct.
you want to track them separately. Okay, so I'm just changing this. Okay, let's go in again. Okay, so what happens after site approval obtained?
Then we submit to institutional IRB, which in our case is called JREC.
And this is have the adapted study documents been submitted for approval? Then what is the process there? Is it also email or hard copies?
So JREC, it is email, but the approval is a hard copy.
Email.
Letter.
And then do they typically ask questions?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so now you say you received queries. Has a query letter been received? And then do you receive it via email or hard copy?
Hard copy.
So they will
send hard copies.
Physical letter.
They will send a physical letter. If you are lucky, they will call you to come and collect it from their office. But usually they will send a physical letter to the PI's department.
Okay, so I'm saying a physical letter from JREC has been received at the site or collected from JREC offices. Okay, so then you've received queries. Now, obviously, what you must do is respond to the queries, right? Query responses submitted. And how do you guys usually do that? Do you write the response later?
So there is a form, there is a template.
Okay.
We do, it's accompanied by a cover letter, but there is a comments template form that you fill in.
Okay, so I've said query response template or comments template has been completed and submitted to JREC along with a cover letter.
Sounds right.
And maybe a cover letter and any
Updated documents or
updated
amended.
edited documents as required.
Mm.
So sometimes they might say, oh, you made a mistake on your informed consent form, or you should add this and this to your SOP or whatever. And then when you submit the query responses, you will include those amended documents as well.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's going to be saved. So then you submit your query responses, then what happens?
Then they respond again, either with further queries or with an approval.
Okay, let's hope not further queries. Let's say
Uh,
for the purposes of this workflow, we're going to assume that
Mm.
90% of the time you then get an approval letter, right?
Yeah, for the purpose of this exercise.
JREC approval received. Has an approval letter been received? And again, will they send you a hard copy?
Yes.
Okay, so I've said has a physical letter, has a physical approval letter been received at site or collected from JREC offices? Okay, then what happens?
And then you prepare the submission for the MRCZ.
Okay, how do you prepare it? What do you need to?
So you submit the documents that have been approved by JREC at this point, which were the ones that were initially adapted and then edited as required. So we are essentially submitting the version of documents that has been approved by JREC.
You're submitting
Along
it
with
where to MRC?
MRCZ. Yeah.
That's the national regulator.
That is medical, for medical research, yes.
Okay, medical research councils. Okay.
So maybe you need to submit approved versions to MRCZ along with the JREC approval because they require the JREC approval.
Okay. And then again, do you email it or do you send them hard copies?
So again, you do both.
Emailed study documents to and handed in hard copies. Okay. And then do they also ask questions?
Yes. a lot, many times over.
Queries received from MRCZ. Has a query been received? Received. Do they send you a physical letter again?
They do, but they also typically email a scanned copy.
Okay, queries received. And then to answer their queries.
It's a similar procedure. They have a standard template. And so you
know
submit.
what? Can I just copy this thing?
Yeah.
So they have their own MRCZ along with cover letter. Do you again, you put a cover letter?
Yes.
And they might again ask you to update or edit some of the documents.
Yeah, so these ones usually they will send back further comments. I mean, it's almost
Always.
Almost always you have at least 2 sets of comments.
They say second round of queries. Okay, so if you receive a second round of queries, then obviously you must respond again. And then do you do it again on that whole template or?
Yes, it's always on their template.
And then hopefully we get approval.
So in a study like this one that has foreign investigators, with the MRCZ will not give you a straight approval. They will give you a conditional approval, which allows you to move on to the last stage, which is the RCZ.
Sorry, Annemie.
Yes,
we're gonna run out of time a bit because we started at 5 past and then in 2 minutes or
okay.
so we have to
So let's
wrap
pretend
up.
like this is finished. I just want to show quickly before we go off how to
And then there are just
apply
2
this.
questions.
Yeah, do you want to ask questions now?
Yes, there was one question. Let me just find out. It says, does this mean workflows can be used to enforce similar practices for the activity across sites? This is from Upendo.
Yes, that's kind of the idea. So if there's a standard process that you want everybody to follow, then you create a workflow for that. So it's almost like operationalizing your SOP for certain processes.
Oh, okay. And then there's someone who wants you to add them from Martin.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, so quickly before we go off, I just want to show you how to apply this workflow. So to apply a workflow, I now have to go into the project site. Okay, so I have to go into newborn screening, And I have to go, just remind me which one again.
The
It's this
next
one,
one there.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I go in here and then I go to workflows, and then you'll see there's no workflows have been added to this project site. Okay, but then I can add it and I can select this one, IRB approval Zim. Can make it public so my colleagues can see what I'm doing. And then you can start ticking them off. So I'm sure you guys have done some of these steps already, Takuza.
Yes, we have.
So you
done.
can start, so you can tick them off. But first go back and finish the workflow, ne? Because once we start ticking them off, we can't change the workflow anymore.
Okay. Maybe once
I'll
you take
delete it for now, and you're going to redo the step of adding it to the site. All right.
Oh.
Thanks, everyone. If everyone can please practice to upload the documents in the document folder by next week, and then see if you can add something to the calendar. Even if you want to add your birthday or whatever, just add something to the calendar so we see that it works. And then those of you who are admins can think about what other workflows we need to make, or if there are workflows that can be shared across the sites, ideally, then we can practice setting those up. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Annemie. Please just
Thanks,
confirm
Annemie.
that, because I still don't see where I can do the workflows.
Yeah, I just
where
need to give you admin access. So let me just do that quickly.
Sorry, Annemie,
now
please also
someone is
check your
calling me
private
on
message.
another one. Okay, yeah, I will before I go off. Sorry, I've got other phones ringing here now while I'm on the call. Let me just see. So yeah, Takuta, you had a normal user account. So I'm going to delete that, and then I'm going to make you a admin user, and then you should be able to do workflows or create new workflows. Okay.
Okay. And I'm able to add, because hopefully the research fellow will be able to take over this, so I can add them into the group, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So if you can add him as an admin, then he can carry on with it. You see, that's kind of the point.
Once we have our institutional email addresses sorted, then I can add.
Okay, so guys, feel free to, email me and Paida your emails as they become available, and then we can add you during the week.